I just got back from the bottle show in Lebanon, Tennessee. I was gifted some bottles, and altogether, I ended up picking up about 22 bottles. This is going to be an insane video. We're going to be going through them and then giving a few facts about the history. This is going to be really cool. Let's get started with bottle 1. Alright, so bottle 1, well, actually it counts bottle 1 and 2. I ended up actually buying 2 of them on accident, but that's okay. I got 2 pre-1923 Cherry-Colas. They're both from Knoxville, Tennessee. And the reason I know they're pre-1923 is because I actually have the 23 variant in my collection here. So in 23 they actually changed to the swirl pattern, and this one's Columbus, Georgia, and then has patent pending on the bottom. But this has got some crazy rash and stuff, so it'll clean up pretty good once I finish trying to clean it up. If you're wondering why there are no bottles behind me, that's because as we go through all the bottles, we're going to be putting them up on the shelf. And then once I'm done, I actually got a new shelf that they will go on that I made a short about. But pretty awesome bottles. And what's pretty cool is, so in 1910 was when the Cherry-Cola was actually introduced by a Columbus, Georgia-based company that ended up becoming Knee-High, and then became Royal Crown Cola, which is really cool. I actually have a Royal Crown Cola in my collection, which is pretty cool. But that is pretty cool. And then in the early 1920s, Coca-Cola actually sued Cherry-Cola, and Cherry-Cola ended up having to take the cola out of their name, which is really interesting. So again, there will be a long form video going super in depth to the history of all my bottles in my collection. It's gonna be a really cool video. Let's go on to bottle 2. Alrighty, so bottle 2 is actually gonna be a variant of Coca-Cola that I don't have in my collection yet, the Patent D Coca-Cola Hobble Skirt. I was gifted this one. Again, thank you very much. So this says trademark registered bottle Patent D, and then has a ton of numbers. And if we look down at the date code, we can actually see 1948 right there. I don't know if y'all can see that on this, but pretty cool bottle, because I have just the patent office, and then I have a 1923. I still need a 15, but so basically why Coca-Cola decided to make this hobble skirt design is they wanted something that would stand out from the other Coca-Cola companies, or the other soda companies, and so that people wouldn't get confused with their company. And actually, this style ended up being the face of Coca-Cola, which is really interesting. Also, they started producing hobble skirts in 1916, although a lot of the bottles, the 1915 variant, say patented 1915, November 16, 1915, which is really interesting. So here's a little bit of history about this bottle that is really cool. Let's go on to bottle 3. Alright, so we're going to grab this one next. This one I got, I need to clean it off, but I got this in a package deal because I don't have a Knee-High yet. I'm going to try to find one of the ACL ones. Columbus, Georgia, and it says patented, patented March 3rd, 1925. Which is pretty cool. I love the design of Knee-High bottles. And also, I love Peach Knee-High. That's a good soda. So, whenever the stock market crashed, Knee-High sales went straight down. They plummeted. And the company almost shut down forever. And that was during the 1930s. So that's crazy. And then the actual founder, Claude A. Hatcher, died in 1933. And that really hurt Knee-High. Eventually, they came back with H.R. Mott, and he took control and streamlined operations and ended up being able to save Knee-High. We will go deeper into that history in the long form video going through all my bottles in my collection. So, going up on the shelf. Alright, let's go to bottle 4. Alright, so here we have bottle 4. This is a 20th century Snalco bowling pin style bottle. So Snalco was a German soda company, or a German soft drink company, founded in 1902. and they actually became a international company in the mid 20th century, which is really interesting. A lot of time their bottles are very identifiable because of this bowling pin shape. I love this bottle personally. It's dark amber. It does need to be cleaned up a little bit more, tumbled and stuff, but I'm really happy with this bottle. So, honestly, one of my favorites, actually. Let's put it up. But they ended up becoming a international company, which is really cool. But it was originally German, which is really interesting. Alright, let's go on to bottle 5. Alright, surprisingly, this one is not a soda bottle. We have a little druggist bottle here that says Alexander Drug Company, Augusta, Georgia. I got this one for super cheap. It's actually like a $25 bottle, so I'm pretty happy about that. But we're going to dive into some history. So, whenever James H. Alexander started this company, he had no idea how to run a drug company at all. And he was just running it. I don't know how, honestly. He was honestly really somehow doing this. But then, this is, believe it or not, it's actually the early, 1900s, so probably about 1910 era bottle, because in the late 1800s, it was Alexander Drug and Seed Company, which is really cool. But again, whenever he started this business, he, quote-unquote, had no technical knowledge of the business, which is really interesting. So I'm super excited to have this bottle in my collection. Nice little druggist. Hopefully I end up digging some local druggists from Middle Tennessee. Okay, Georgia's close. So we're going to put it right up here, actually. And, let's move on to bottle 6. So, believe it or not, right here, we have this ink bottle. And look how uneven it is. That is pretty cool. And it says, patented March 6, 1883, which is really interesting. And then on the bottom, you can see it is a Bigsby ink. So the business was actually founded by Samuel Merrill Bigsby, which is really cool. And it was actually started in New York, which is not surprising. A lot of these businesses started in New York. And also, it was shoe blackening and then polishing. They also made glue. So, pretty interesting little bottle. I'm excited about this bottle. Excited to have it in my collection. This is one of the earlier ones for sure. So, yeah. So, alright, let's move on to bottle 7. Okay, so, as I know, I have a little bit of a poison collection after that eBay shipment. So I was super excited whenever I saw this bottle. Can y'all tell by the shape? I don't know. Sharp and Dome Poison, Baltimore, Maryland. Super happy to have this bottle in my collection. I know they made multiple bottles, multiple types, but I absolutely love this bottle. So they actually opened up an apothecary shop in 1845. The people, obviously, the guy named Sharp. I cannot pronounce his first two names, but that's pretty cool. And then 1851, that was when they started. That was whenever he hired Louis Dome, and that was whenever they started the poison company. That is super cool. Super excited to have that little poison in my collection. But as y'all said in that short about my new shelf, none of these bottles are put up there yet. So, all right, let's move on to bottle 8. All right, I'm gonna grab it. Oh, okay, here we go. Fayetteville Ice and Bottling Works. It says trademark registered. Circle Slug. I cannot find any history on this bottle. I know that they are known. I've seen examples. They sell for $20 to $35, but I could not find any history on this company at all. I am so sorry. I tried my best. I looked at Sanborn maps and everything and could not find any history in this company. Either way, it's a beautiful bottle. Got a big air bubble in the back right there. So it's genuinely just a wonderful bottle. Alright, now we are going to go on to bottle 9. Alright, let's move on. Here we go. Grab this one. Alright, so, let's see. This is a Buffalo Rock, a nice little clear Buffalo Rock. It says content 6 fluid ounces. And it says Birmingham, Alabama. B&R Co., Birmingham, Alabama. Very faintly embossed down there. So the company actually goes all the way back to 1901 in Birmingham, Alabama, when Sidney W. Lee founded the Alabama Grocery Company. In 1906, Lee and Selma chemist named Ashley Coleman developed a ginger ale product called Buffalo Rock Ginger Ale, which is really interesting. And so this was a ginger ale bottle. And by 1927, this company was massive. And they were known across the entire country. Cool history, huh? We gotta love the history. Alright, let's go on to bottle 10. So this is one of my favorite old beers in my collection. This is the Christian Moreling Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Super exciting. So this company was founded in 1853, and then the company had gotten so big by 1864, they were producing over 26,000 barrels per year. That's huge. And they had produced over 100,000 barrels in 1880 to 225,000 barrels in 1890. That is absolutely crazy. This is an early 1900s crown top here, aqua colored. I will pop up a picture right now of what the building actually looked like, courtesy of Digging Cincinnati. Okay, so this is a really cool bottle. I'm super excited to have that in my collection. You gotta love the necks on these old beers, man. I absolutely love them. Alright, let's move on to bottle 11. So my next bottle it's either Regret or Regret. Not Regret, because there's no R, but there it is. I tried to find out how to pronounce it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So Regret and Brit Brewing Company, or Bottling Company, Danville, Illinois. So what's really interesting about this bottle is, whenever asking people about it, I couldn't find any history on it. They suggested I go look at Sanborn maps of Danville, Illinois. So I go to the Sanborn maps, the most industrial areas, and don't even find a bottling company for this. So I generally don't know. I know this bottle's old. I don't know how old. I can't tell you who started it, when it started. But I will try to find some history on it, and it will be in my long form video of going through my entire collection. Let's go on to bottle 12. Okay, so this is a really cool bottle. I only have one of these in my collection, which is super exciting. 3-piece mold wine bottle. So what a 3-piece mold is so 2 vertical body sections. So this is gonna be like the front and the back halves, and then the separate shoulder and neck section, and they mold it on top. And then this type was actually common from 1810 to 1870 because these bottles were still partly handmade. Metal ring on this top here that's still here, most likely held in the cork, while it's possibly in a cellar or a tavern, which is really cool. Super excited to have this 3-piece mold wine bottle in my collection. Let's move on to bottle 13. Okay, this is actually one of my favorite old liquor bottles in my collection here. Look at that neck. I mean, you can't beat that. No damage on this at all, but it says on the bottom, Liebig Malt Extract Company. And it says Leipzig, New York, London, and then Buenos Aires. So what's really cool about this bottle is this could possibly be from South America. So this was actually originally German. So a German chemist, Justus von Liebig, which is a cool name, developed. Well, this is malt extract. It says, Liebig Malt Extract Company. Developed in the 1840s an idea for a concentrated malt extract. Meat extract. What? No, it's malt extract, sorry. Mead. There we go. Look at that. It's very, very well embossed on the bottom. But I absolutely love this bottle. Again, for the full history, look forward to the long form video. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to bottle 14. I absolutely love this bottle. This is bitters, blob top, dark green. There's wood chisel, all over this thing. And I cannot pronounce what's on the bottom of this, so I will pop up a slide of the history of it. Because I cannot pronounce any of it. This is originally, so the guy who created this is originally from Hungary and then moved to Budapest. So this is all in a different language, which is really cool. So I will pop a picture of the history right now. Try your best to read that. So pretty excited about this in my collection. One of my only blob tops. So I love it. How about we head on to bottle 15, shall we? Alright, next we got the really cool bottle here. So, Mount Pleasant Ice Company, Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. That was a super small town for the time. I was gifted this by Wyatt from Tennessee Bottle Collector. Go check him out on YouTube and TikTok. Super cool bottle, honestly. I absolutely love this bottle. Here, I love it. I could find no history. I know that there's an ice plant in Mount Pleasant that could have possibly done bottling and stuff, but I couldn't find anything on it, possibly because it was just such a small town at the time that they didn't have as much resources to do stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure, but that is super cool. Either way, let's move on to our next bottle. Okay, so my next bottle I'm about to get is from Columbia, Tennessee, which is another smaller town back then in Middle Tennessee. This bottle is quality beverages from Columbia, Tennessee. But what's really interesting about this bottle is from the Dr. Pepper Bottling Works in Columbia, or Dr. Pepper Bottling Company in Columbia. See, it's got Columbia, Tennessee on the bottom. So I could not find much history on this bottle. Really, none actually. I do know that there were 2 Dr. Pepper Bottling Work buildings in Columbia, which were really interesting, and they both claimed to be the Dr. Pepper Bottling Works. I don't really know. So that's a little questionable about this bottle, but it's an absolutely beautiful bottle. No damage on it whatsoever. It's absolutely perfect. But yeah, we've got one more bottle, and then we're heading on to my top 3 favorites. Let's go. Okay, so final one before my top 3 favorites. Here we have Birmingham Bottling House bottle. Like a blob top, I think. I've never really seen a top like that, but I love it. Dark aqua. Dark aqua. Oh, it's beautiful. But in 1902, Crawford Johnson Sr., originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is kind of interesting, established a Birmingham bottling company in a modest, tiny little faculty. Here's the address: 109 North 24th Street. With an initial capital of $12,000. That is pretty interesting. Again, for the full history, be excited for the full history on a long form video coming soon about going through my full collection. Right, on to my top 3. So believe it or not, I only have one straight side Coke in my collection. I got it at the show. Amber Straight Side Coca-Cola from Columbia, Tennessee. So I actually know where the Coca-Cola Bottling Works was located in Columbia, Tennessee. But I've dug a Dr. Pepper from Columbia, but never dug a Coca-Cola from Columbia. I've seen them at antique stores and stuff, but never gotten one. So this is one of my favorites. So these bottles were produced whenever Coca-Cola moved here during Columbia's huge manufacturing and population boom. As soon as they moved there, they were producing bottles like crazy, and people loved them. And then also Dr. Pepper and Knee-High were here too, as well. So pretty interesting. A nice little piece of soda history from Columbia, Tennessee. Let's move on to another bottle. Alright, everybody. So this is my first Hutch I ever got. Right here. So slick on the sides. Still got the stopper up there. And on the bottom, it's got an H and a 3. So I dove into the research here. So the H most likely means the Hutchinson Glass Company. And they made a ton of soda bottles and some liquor bottles. And the 3 was most likely a mold. But for my first Hutchinson bottle, I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh, it's just perfect. I love it. It's aqua. I mean, I'm super excited to have this one in my collection. But the final bottle coming up is also a Hutchinson. That was gifted to me. I'll also say who gifted it to me whenever we start showing it off. Let's move on to that one. Alrighty, our last, but not least at all, bottle of the day. DeCoin Bottling Works, DeCoin, Iowa, Hutch. Wow. This bottle was gifted by KY Krieger. Just go check them out on YouTube. These guys are awesome. Met him at the bottle show. Gifted me this. Awesome guy. Super kind. They're super nice people. So, of course, go check them out. And, so it was a local bottler for Coca-Cola, actually, that existed in DeCoin, Iowa, from the early 1900s until at least the mid-1900s. It was part of the, so it was a local bottler for Coca-Cola that existed from the early 1900s to at least the mid-1900s. Obviously, this one's from about 1902, or from late 1800s to about 1912 was when they produced Hutches from. And, let's see, if it bears the DeCoin. So this one dates from about 1905 to 1915. So pretty excited about this bottle. I will pop up a picture of all of them up on my new shelf. I'm just putting them up here for the video. But man, we had some banger bottles this video, you guys. We had some bangers. Pretty awesome. Of course, thanks to Wyatt from Tennessee Bottle Collector, and the KY Krieger guys, and everybody else I met at the show. Really appreciate it, and yeah, I will see y'all next video. See y'all. Here's my new shelf. Pretty insane. Got my Hutches in the front. Got some meds and some other stuff down there. Some other random jars and stuff. And my Coca-Cola thing. My radio at the top. Thanks for watching. See y'all.